I don't know how many people have superhero burnout, but that could definitely have an effect at the box office for the Marvels. Now, I went and saw it last night, and the theater wasn't very crowded. Is that an indication of the quality of this film? Carol Danvers gets her powers entangled with those of Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, forcing them to work together to save the universe. So we've got Brie Larson returning in her role as Captain Marvel, and I gotta say, it's really nice to have her character this time be more friendly and emotional rather than rigid and stoic like she was in Endgame. Larson smiles, laughs, and taps into her natural timing, and then is allowed to show growth within her character. Iman Vellani and Teyonah Parris are the other two who help make up the Marvels. And because I've seen both WandaVision and Miss Marvel, I already knew who their characters are and what they can do. If, though, you've never seen those Disney Plus shows, you're gonna miss out on some of the depth that they bring. Now, luckily, there is some minor development and background that we get for each character, but it's quick, and it's really a detriment to having a movie reliant on a show for context. Thankfully, the background we do get on Kamala and Monica, it comes about naturally. Since Captain Marvel hasn't seen Monica in decades and she's never met Kamala, their introductions serve to supply some of the foundation for their inclusion in the film. Now, Sam Jackson also returns as Nick Fury, and while he doesn't have a lot of screen time, he does make the most of it and delivers his standard, no-nonsense, gruff persona. Like many of the Marvel movies, the villain doesn't have a tremendous amount of buildup. Zawe Ashton plays Dar-Benn, the antagonist, and to the story's credit, at least she has a well-defined motive for being the baddie. I mean, her plight, it makes sense, and it feels justified. I do wish, though, that her weapon would have had a bit more explanation, because the last time I saw something like it was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and it required a specific item to get it going. Now, as you may be aware, this is a short movie. It's only an hour and 45 minutes, and while the quickness is felt, the whole story didn't feel rushed. Now, there are certainly segments that are skimpy and thin, and maybe if they'd add 10 or 15 additional minutes, they could have been way more meaningful and also make more sense. Now, because of actions by the villain, Dar-Benn, wonkiness occurs for our three superheroes. As was shown in the trailers, when they use their powers, the three switch places, creating havoc and even laughs. Now, the editing for these scenes was really good, making it appear as the heroes are switching mid-action, creating confusion as well as peril. Now, these sequences also take place during fight scenes, and I'm happy that a lot of the choreography is actually shown. We don't have all kinds of fast edits to hide maneuvers, but instead get to see continuous action for several seconds at a time. Now, there are quick edits when some of the switching takes effect, launching us to a new location along with the character. And this can get a bit harried at times, but it does add to the excitement and the energy of the scenes. I also appreciate the chemistry that's showcased between the three leads. There's a natural rhythm they have that creates a somewhat strained, but also believable and endearing dynamic. And for as good as Brie Larson and Teyonah Parris are in their roles, every scene she's in is stolen by Iman Vellani. Not only is the young actress charismatic and bubbly, but she perfectly embodies the persona of a teenager with newly acquired powers who also idolizes Captain Marvel and tries not to lose her crap when meeting her hero. The inclusion of her parents and her brother also helped to create a wonderfully touching and humorous dynamic. And just like in the Ms. Marvel series, Kamala's family add relatable tension as well as comic relief. The care and concern mixed with consternation is captured beautifully through small comments and then brilliant facial expressions. Vellani is also extremely funny, and it's not a forced humor, but something the actress naturally possesses that allows her to create smiles and laughs just because her deliveries are infectious. Plus, as Kamala, there's a warmth and heart that's brought to the story. I mentioned before how Danvers is now more emotional and likable, but as she interacts with Kamala and Monica, this is when we get to witness all sorts of character growth. She softens and learns, taking responsibility without cockiness, and I thought it was awesome to watch. And something a bit different with the Captain Marvel persona is that we get to see a slight silliness to her, humanizing her by showing that she has other facets of her personality besides just a serious, sour demeanor. And within this angle, we get to experience a few surprises within the story. And as out there as they may seem at first, these sequences add depth and emotion to the narrative, helping to soften the blow of some of the story thinness. And it's not like these scenes are just trying to distract from lack of development, they just make it less obvious that some progressions aren't as built out as they could be. There is one arc in particular that isn't nearly as refined as it should be. Now, I felt like I was really missing a chunk of the story, or that I didn't hear some of the context for interactions between Danvers and a group of inhabitants. Now, this made me feel as if I were playing catch up during an action sequence, trying to figure out how some of the animosity came about between characters, which then led to even more bitterness. I'm happy that most of the special effects in this, they look good. There were one or two moments when a character was in space that didn't look as polished as they should, but overall, the graphics are convincing and they enhance the storytelling rather than detract because they're just distractingly poor. So for me, I had fun with the story and characters. Yeah, some areas of the narrative could have benefited from deeper development and explanation, and had I not seen two of the series, I probably would have been a bit lost on two of the major characters. But I did like this a whole lot more than a few of the last Marvel entries, getting to escape reality for a while and seeing some engaging characters banter in quick and witty ways, telling an entertaining story that's filled with not only heart, but danger, peril, action, and laughs. The pacing is quick, with some elements being thin, but the overarching narrative is captivating and makes sense as a standalone story, as well as providing some context for future entries. Ashton as the villain creates a menacing persona that provides a palpable challenge for the heroes. Larson and Parris are wonderful individually and together, but everyone in the production is upstaged by Iman Vellani, who is magnetic and charming, channeling her energy into creating a sincere character who captivates. Now, there is a mid-credit scene that might get you excited, so don't leave before seeing it. There's not an in-credit scene, but there is a sound effect. Trust me, it's not important or even worth sitting around for. There's no sex and nudity, some profanity, and a lot of violence. I give the Marvels 4 out of 5 couches. I had fun with this, and I left with a smile on my face. I hope you do too if you go and see this. So now that the strikes are over, what film are you most looking forward to seeing? It could be one that's already finished production or one that now can actually begin. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.